Yes, we are.
Okay, super. I wanted to let everybody know that in fact we are recording the session today for, as usual, for people's reference later on. And welcome to the AFO BMG meeting for March. I frankly am feeling a little bit guilty today because we're getting a taste of spring out of doors and I have all you here on a Zoom meeting. So we will be expeditious, but we are content rich again today. So I expect we will take nearly our full time. Bernadette, when you're ready, you can advance the slide.
Yes, one moment, Gloria. It's just for some reason not. There we go.
Okay, so a few reminders today. All attendees will be placed on mute. So if you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box, and we've got people who are watching so that we will bring your questions up as we have in the past at the end of the sessions, or if we catch them as someone is presenting. If you have additional questions, there's will be a link to the meeting video, and so you can ask us questions, or of course you can email us at the following addresses. And those are always available to you as well. All right, let's move right into the meeting. I'm not going to go over the agenda. I will announce as we go, but this is for your future reference. And so just a few announcements today. First one being the OBFS website redesign project. A quick update for you on that. The analysis phase is just about complete and the team is preparing design recommendations. But before it can become complete, we have an important thing coming up. It will be a detailed survey that will be intended to validate the findings and help inform the design recommendations so that new solutions are implemented for an improved user experience. As a result of that, be looking for the communication that announces the beginning of the survey. It's going to be distributed through our BMG list and also will come out as an opportunity through Business and Finance News. There'll be a link to the survey in there. I'm going to warn you a little bit in advance. It may be a little bit lengthy because, as I said, it's going to go into some fair amount of detail on the different sections that are available today. But please bear with us. Your information that you provide us has been so valuable in the past and will, I'm sure, be again as the result of your responses to the survey. Let's see. Next step on that, sorry, one last little thing on that. The design, so the results of the survey will be compiled along with all the other massive amounts of quantitative data that the team is collecting. And that's going to result, as we may have mentioned last time, in a set of wireframes. We won't be able to actually have a prototype for you, but at least we will give you a sense of how the flow of the site will go and make the design document and recommendations available to you. So again, you'll have an opportunity for final comment before we move into the design phase, the development phase, which will happen after the ITPC proposal is approved. All right, then on to internal controls. The project teams and the stakeholders are still working through the processes and scenarios because as a result of the pilot period, we found that there are things that need to be done. So we are adding additional information to the website. We are taking a look at the mitigation plan template that was prepared and making some improvements to that. We are creating a clear process. We realized that the deal here, honestly, is that this is not going to be a once and done thing. The longer term solutions are still on deck, but they are longer term. And so it will be a couple year process for us to get everything in place to make this a more automated process. So stay tuned. The previously communicated March deadline has been eliminated. We'll keep you posted on a new deadline. Don't panic at this point if you are not completed with your but for those of you who can, please eliminate those conflicting role combinations. But the warning there is eliminate them if you don't have to leave any roles unfilled. We're finding that there are now some unfilled roles in the applications. and it's important that that not happen. So if you can continue on to eliminate the conflicting role combinations, please do so. Feel free to reach out to Bernadette, Dana, or myself if you have questions on how to do that or how to get that achieved, but no urgency at this point to create a mitigation plan. As I said, the March deadline has been canceled, and we will give you information on deadlines that are subsequent once we figure out how this is all going to go. Okay. The Business Administrator Certification Path Curriculum Redesign. I wanted to give you some information about this today because redesign is important to all of us, and I'm going to need again to ask your participation in the efforts that are going on. So there's a new committee has been formed called the System Offices Learning and Development Executive Committee. They work in partnership with the Business Solutions and Support Group, who report through me, and started a BACP curriculum redesign. The intent there is to really look at the training and professional development needs that you have as you do business and finance work at the university. So the outcome of this design will be a series of what we're calling dynamic learning paths. And what that really implies is that a path related to a given process may start with a very entry-level course and progress through to a very senior and sophisticated level course. Not every process, of course, is going to have that component, but we'll be coming to you with the concept and the proposed curriculum paths as they get more developed. We're also engaging with some of our advisory groups to take a look at that curriculum and participate with us in the design as well. This is a very long-term project. It's going to be implemented in phases, and analysis is currently underway as we take a look at what will be a first wave of implementation. Don't expect anything around that until probably the latter half of FY22. So this is just a little bit boring that we're going to ask for your advice and input once again in the not too distant future. Then on to the Certified Business Administrator cohort. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it, but we are almost through this year's cohort, and it's time to take nominations for next cycle. So the CBA path, I still get that all confused, application window for the 21-22 cohort is going to open on Monday, March 29th. It's going to close on April 9th. So to participate, your application must be received by April 9th, and it must then be approved by your supervisor by April 16th. Again, look for a communication that will go out encouraging staff who are interested to participate, and look forward to and review the information as you get that communication. It will go to the business manager group as well, but certainly feel free to share it with anybody you know who might be interested in the program and benefit in a professional development capacity from taking this program. Remember, the CBA path is really one for mid-level administrators, not for beginning administrators. We've got a new course that is offered, I think, monthly, that will accommodate the needs of newer staff, but this is for staff who have been with us for a while. All right, and then there is one more walk-on announcement to, oh, I missed one, sorry. The vendor information form requests. We don't know what to call this, but I have to be very clear with you all today that this is not the vendor information form when the university is receiving a service or good from someone else. That form goes through UPay and nothing is changing there. This form is for those of you who receive requests because you are doing a service for someone else, usually another university or agency of some sort, and they are asking you for information about the university to set us up as a vendor in their system. So if those of you who engage in that kind of activity missed the initial email, there's information here on the slide that allows you to go back and take a look at what to do next. The Office of Treasury Operations is actually helping us coordinate that going forward, since they're the ones who can provide the banking information. Okay, now I have a walk-on announcement. So I would like to introduce Jeff Weaver briefly for an important announcement about the biennial inventory schedule.
Thanks, Gloria. Appreciate the time on the busy agenda today, but wanted to share good news to this group in advance of the official university announcement, planned to coming out through the news center likely this Friday. But the equipment biennial inventory certification due dates that have been currently established at March 31st, 2021 are being extended out to June 30, 2021. So that is both for the 2020 and the 2021 UIC cycles. Both are being extended from the current due date of March out to June. This is being done, the 90-day window is the maximum extension CMS can grant the university and other state agencies relative to the compliance to the mandated physical inventories and the reporting required. So just wanted to share why this continues to roll out in 60 and 90-day increments. It's due to that required state obligation and reporting and getting maximum extensions from them. Just want to share too, the university does appreciate UNIT's efforts at completing the inventories, and extensions are obviously being provided to allow additional time, especially given the safety required to complete the process. So thanks, Gloria, appreciate the time.
Thank you, Jeff. That's an important update. Next, we move on to Susie Baker, who's the Senior Associate Director in University Payables, and she's going to join us to offer some very valuable food for thought related to the travel experience under COVID-19.
Thanks, Laura. Let me pull up the PowerPoint here and we can get started. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. As Laura said, we wanted to share some lessons we learned about travel during this period of time after COVID started. Again, I'm Susie Baker. I'm with University Payables. And we found a lot about our current travel procedures and policies that we have here at the university, and what caused challenges in getting university personnel, whether they were employees or students, home when COVID began and the borders were closing and Illinois was having the stay-at-home order. Primarily what we found out is we were really hindered in this process by the fact that the university does not have a managed travel program. We do have contracted travel providers, but we don't have a system where all the travel arrangements for our employees and where they're going and all that sort of thing is in one place. So our contracted travel provider, CTP, does do this, but the use of CTP is recommended, not required. And we're running about 30% adoption, I think, across the university for iTravel and booking through CTP. And that restricts our negotiating of discount agreements, and it also makes our duty of care difficult at best to administer. Duty of care is basically our responsibility as an employer to take care of our employees who are traveling on business. Additionally, because there's no central managed travel program, employees and units are responsible of keeping track of unused airline tickets. And with all the cancellations we had of flights due to COVID, that can get pretty onerous depending on how much travel people in each unit had planned. And as I said, we have a less than 30% adoption of our full service contracted travel agency. And we've been working on trying to figure out why. Is it just unfamiliar? Are you used to booking travel the way you used to? Are the rates more expensive? Is iTravel too difficult to use? Like I said, CTP is our current full service contracted travel provider. However, their contract is expiring and we're going out for bid for a new provider. So it would be really helpful for us if you have input that you want to share about, why your unit is or is not currently using iTravel and CTP. There'll be an email address for University of Payable's Travel Management Office at the end of this presentation. Please drop us a line, let us know. As we evaluate responses to the RFP, we can try and keep some of those comments in mind and hopefully make a better experience for everybody. So based upon the 30% adoption rate of iTravel, when COVID happened, Illinois is issuing the stay-at-home order. We didn't know on a university system level, not just in the units, where more than 70% of our travelers were. And that's concerning, given that we really needed to get people back and help them, with flights and with the cancellation of flights and that sort of thing. So CTP, Corporate Travel Planners, assist us with returning 264 study abroad students in 5 days. And we wanted to point that out because they were able to provide assistance and take advantage of things that a regular individual could not. They're having to rebook a lot of travel and international bookings. They take a lot of knowledge and expertise and knowing what questions to ask, to get travel booked for each individual. They're trained on partnering with carriers with baggage agreements, and they pass along that savings to the university because a lot of people were wanting tickets and prices were kind of all over the place. And they have priority call access to some carriers, including American, United, Delta, Southwest, and their international partners. So what that meant was that if university employees were trying to get a hold of them, to the airlines to rearrange travel, if the study abroad students or their parents were trying to contact the airlines, they got a lot of calls and they were likely put on hold. So CTP was able to move to the front of the line and get things resolved much more quickly. Many of the parents and students got in touch with us to let us know how good that experience was for them. We thought we'd share a few comments here, sort of in support for having this sort of managed travel program. And so we also wanted to cover the benefits of using the contracted travel provider or agent that the university has. Currently, CTP offers iTravel, the online booking tool for individual reservations. And even if we do move to a different provider, they all have similar tools. So that would not be changing. They have full service agents that can assist with group travel or complex international itineraries. And you can put in information about yourself if you're booking for yourself, or employees if you're booking for them, for their preferences for seats, hotels, car rental. You can put in their frequent travel program numbers so they can get their points. And using iTravel and a T-card especially relieves departments of overhead when changes are imposed, like the restrictions that were imposed last March and April. And you can get access to our system discounts, including car rental, the Club Quarter hotel contract, and only through iTravel or CTP, you can access discounts with Southwest Airlines and United Airlines. Other benefits include agent assistance with what are called waivers and favors. If there's special seating or they can get us a frequent flyer upgrade, they can do that. And most importantly, for situations like COVID that we had not experienced before here at the university in recent times, they can contact and locate travelers in time of crisis. So they contact them, help them get them booked, adjust their travel plans, and it's more proactive than us at the university trying to figure out where our people are and then trying to reach them. So that's a really great benefit of using a contracted travel provider. They additionally provide 24-hour worldwide emergency assistance in case you need help with airline cancellations, because a lot of flights are being canceled last March and April, hotel overbooking, and they can assist in emergencies. If a traveler gets sick, if there's a security threat, if they have had things stolen, like their passport, they can help with that. And they track the unused airline tickets so that they can update travelers who have unused tickets and alert when they have an unused ticket to use when people are making reservations, so we don't lose those tickets that have already been purchased. Currently, CTP and other travel providers that we would potentially be vetting for the new contract provide access to discounted hotel rooms that are negotiated by the travel agency. Many of those include either Wi-Fi or breakfast, because they're things people ask about when booking. And they also monitor travel itineraries. So if the rate for an airline ticket or for a flight or a hotel room goes down, they'll get unit approval and reissue the ticket or rebook hotel room reservations at the lower rate to save the university money. And they're doing all the work for us. We aren't having to go out and to do that. And they can assist with visa, passport, and health requirements for international travel. They can provide access to the forms and help with issuing a new or renewal passport in emergency situations. And in iTravel, user groups can be set up for all the travel purchased on a single T card. Employees can be added or removed. There is a approver T card assigned to the group, and the travelers will not see that T card number. That will be masked from them. And it provides the capability for the traveler to create an itinerary and route it to their approver or T card holder for review. And the use of this process eliminates a lot of out-of-pocket expenses for employees. So if they were to personally go out and make their own arrangements and use their own credit card, it typically, except under extremely rare and few circumstances, we don't reimburse for airfare or ticketed travel until the travel has occurred, just in case things do get canceled. If the T card is used, that's not a concern for the traveler. They're not waiting on reimbursement for those funds. So that is a few benefits of using the contracted agency, and just something to think about how travel is impacted, in situations like COVID. Hopefully it won't happen again, but you never know. And how using our contracted providers can assist in those situations with locating our university personnel and bringing them home. So as I said earlier in this presentation, we have a UPay Travel Management Office. It's tmo@uillinois.edu. If you have comments about the university travel programs, if you have comments about CTP or iTravel, why it has or has not been adopted by your unit, please drop us a line, and we can look into your comments and see how we can make this better for everyone because of the benefits involved in doing so. And we highly recommend iTravel for all business travel for the university. So thank you for your time. I think that's the first time I've ever gone under time for a presentation. So
Susie, there were a couple questions
Sure.
and one comment, just in case others aren't reading the comments, but there was a question regarding it was students and faculty, academic professionals, postdocs can travel or allowed to plan for travel for summer, fall of 2021. And Jim then responded that you might want to check with the UIC Provost's office because it's being established at the university level. But there was another question regarding the iTravel issues credits to T-card holder. Can you just confirm, is that how it's working where iTravel issues the credit to the T card holder?
Yeah, if someone has gone through iTravel and booked travel, and there's a credit, the credit will go back onto the card that travel was booked on. So if a T card was used, yes, the credit should come in on the T card.
Great, thank you for the clarification.
Okay, thanks. Next on, we're going to hear from Danielle Stoner, Financial Accounting and Reporting Analyst, who's going to give us some updates to changes in the lease accounting activities.
Okay, give me just a second to pull my screen up here. And as Gloria mentioned, I'm Danielle Stoner, and I am with University Accounting and Financial Reporting. Within the past few months, Courtney Engelhart has presented about a new lease accounting standard that we have to implement at the university. And so we thought that it would be helpful to go over what our lease accounting process is within UAFR, and how this accounting standards change impacts us as well as the individual units at the university. So just so you're aware, the people that are primarily responsible for the implementation of this standard are Phil McCarthy, Courtney Engelhart, and myself, and we are all with University Accounting and Financial Reporting. So to begin, we have 3 contract types that we keep track of. The first is an equipment lessee contract, which is where the university leases equipment from a third party. We have a real estate lessee contract where the university leases real estate from a third party. And we have real estate lessor contracts, which is where we actually lease real estate to a third party. So how we find out about a new or amended lease with real estate, typically the real estate office will send us a new or amended contract. Sometimes the unit will reach out to us directly to let us know, typically with equipment, as well as occasionally we will discover some new entries that are unfamiliar during our reconciliation process. So with the new accounting standard, the big changes are how leases are classified. So if you're familiar with any of the leases at the university, or you're the person who's responsible for making payments or doing entries in Banner, some of this will sound familiar to you, but the majority of our leases at this point in time, there's a rent payment and it is classified as rent expense. And there are just a handful of leases where the lease payments are broken out into principal and interest. With the new accounting standard, there will be 3 classifications of leases, and these will replace the previous classifications. So first, we would have a finance lease, and this lease would be of equipment or real estate with the term longer than 1 year. And instead of a payment just being classified as rent expense, it will actually be broken out into principal and interest. So if you are one of the people who are responsible for recording these entries, these are the leases that are typically recorded to a 157, 158, and occasionally a 169 account code. We will also have a finance purchase lease classification. This would also be a term of a year or greater. The payments will be broken out into principal and interest as well. The difference between the finance lease and the finance purchase lease is that there is a purchase or an ownership transfer at the end of a finance purchase lease. So this would be like the unit is able to purchase the equipment at the end of the term for $1. These leases currently are recorded to 169 account codes. And then the third classification would be a short-term lease. This would be a lease whose total term is less than a year. And these payments will continue to be classified as rent expense. So there is no principal and interest breakout here. And these leases currently are recorded to a 143 account code, and that will stay the same going forward. So ultimately, the biggest difference is that we have to amortize a lease, and amortization is just lowering the balance of an asset or loan over the term of the contract. So I've included a picture of an amortization schedule here just to make a little bit more sense. If the unit had a lease payment of $599.55 every month, a portion of that would go to principal and a portion of that would go to interest. Because the balance is changing with each payment, the interest amount does not stay the same. So it is different each month. And this would be most similar to a home mortgage or if you financed a vehicle. So instead of just making a rent payment and classifying it as rent expense, the units will actually need to make payments and entries based on an actual amortization schedule. We do all of the reconciling at UAFR for lease activity. So we perform these reconcilements monthly and annually. Items that don't belong in the lease account codes are reallocated. If there are some unusual differences or questions, they are investigated. Sometimes we'll be reaching out directly to the units to ask questions or obtain more information. And then if necessary, we can adjust those differences out of the lease account codes. And then we are also required to report any lease activity and future lease obligations in the financial statements. And if you're curious what that looks like, you can find the financial statements out on the OBFS website under the About OBFS section under Annual Reports. So again, the accounting standard change is mainly focused on payments being broken out into principal and interest. So that's a big change for us as well as for the units. Because of that, payments won't be recorded to just one account code. There will be a principal account code and an interest account code. Those interest account codes have been created and they are out on the account code search option on the OBFS website with the instructions not to use until the implementation date. And amortization schedules for leases will be sent to the units that actually show the principal and interest breakout. We don't know 100% what that looks like. We are still evaluating how to do that efficiently and what the timeline is for distribution. So if you haven't received that, that's because we haven't sent it. And further communication will continue to go out. We plan to continue to present on these meetings to make sure that everyone is well informed and no one feels like they're in the dark when the implementation happens. So how this affects you, the implementation date is July 1st, 2021, so it's right around the corner. So you may want to think about this if you're entering into a new lease or filling out a requisition. If you're unsure of what account code to use, feel free to reach out to us. I have our contact information at the end of this presentation. So obviously this is going to change the workflow with having to enter a lot of leases in multiple account codes, but it is very important that the university is compliant because there have been warnings of severe consequences for non-compliance, and we would not like to find out what those are. So here's our contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Courtney. We are more than happy to assist you. We definitely would rather you reach out to us and us assign an account code or help you with the identification of the account code as opposed to trying to fix things on the back end. And I just want to reiterate that we will continue to have communications and make information available as it becomes available to us.
Danielle, we have a couple of questions.
Sure.
If interest is different every month, how will you pay split principal versus interest?
So that will be covered when we send out the actual amortization schedule. So we have a lease accounting software that is compliant with the new lease accounting standards. So we will enter in the terms of the lease and it will generate an amortization schedule for us. So that will show the principal and interest breakout each month. And we would be sending that directly to the payment contacts for each lease. I just don't know exactly when that will be.
Okay, one more question. Do real estate or equipment on finance leases get added to inventory, and when would that happen?
Courtney, do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Sorry, what was the question again?
Does real estate or equipment on finance leases get added to inventory, and when?
I believe when it's financed, so like if it's like a capital lease, then yes. And they get added, usually at the beginning of the lease is when we do it'll be like the same sheet, the amortization schedule and all of that. And then we work with property accounting to get that asset added as a leased asset.
Say, Courtney, this is Jeff. I'll add, the expectation is that for the financed equipment, actual equipment purchases, that yes, those will be added to your equipment inventory. Real estate leases, literally for space, will not become property records or equipment records. So it really, as it has in the past, it's just that there's different standards for those equipment leases and rentals that now apply. But that's my expectation.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much for keeping us updated on this. We'll look forward to getting more details as processes emerge. Now on to purchasing. We've got Deborah Matlock, the Executive Director, and Aaron Rosenthal, the Senior Associate Director of Contract Management, with us today to give you important updates on several items.
Thank you. Thank you, Gloria, and thank you, Bernadette. So today's update of UIC purchasing, I'll be doing it alone because I believe that Aaron is in a source to pay meeting. And so I am Deborah Matlock, and just wanted to give you a few updates. For renewals, everyone should be submitting their requisitions for FY22 orders and renewals now. As we advised in the last AFO BMG in January, standing orders of any amount can now be submitted in iBuy without the need for the price quantity flip, and you're not limited to less than $1 million. If anyone has a need for a competitive solicitation for FY22, please do complete the new solicitation information form that is available in iBuy. Amazon for Business. So we've had some concerns about our Amazon for Business account and usage. From February 2020 through February 2021, the University of Illinois has spent over $5.7 million under our Amazon for Business account. And of that total, UIC has spent just under $2 million. The challenge with that level of spend is that it does not comply with Illinois procurement code or rule requirements. And we really have had no authority to use Amazon as a single vendor for multiple purchases at these dollar levels. Since late summer, discussions have been ongoing with Amazon to bring them into compliance with state of Illinois law and processes. The Chief Procurement Officer is aware of the university's non-compliance, and there have also been discussions of shutting down the Amazon for Business account. So please note, more to come. But we have a report of all of our Amazon for Business purchases, including an analysis of where items were purchased through Amazon when we had awarded contracts and awarded vendors in iBuy available for those same items. Also, just because we are working from home and we are in a pandemic, it is not appropriate to use the university dollars to purchase items such as bath products, office chairs. We are not outfitting home offices. And so I had, in fact, early on in the pandemic, sent an email to a number of people for whom Amazon had, in fact, contacted me. Our Amazon rep had contacted me, where we were making office type purchases. And I had reached out to each of those people individually by email and said that it's only appropriate to use an Amazon for business account for chairs and other items for an office if you intend to return those items to your work office at the end of the work from home orders. If those are in fact intended for personal use, they are not appropriate to be purchased by our Amazon for Business authorized account holders. Okay. So be mindful of that. And we do have a very detailed breakdown. And as I said, it does not look like it's that the account has been used appropriately. And I see some questions, and I can certainly.
Deborah,
Well,
do you want me to read the questions, or do you want to keep going?
Yeah, and that would be perfect since, thank you, Dana, since they are relevant to the Amazon for Business entry.
Do you think that contracted vendors can match the pricing at Amazon? Oftentimes the same product is much cheaper.
What we would prefer that you do is, instead of shopping for Amazon products, is to use the contracted vendors. You can certainly make me aware if you are getting cheaper prices, but right now Amazon is viewed. I mean, Amazon is pervasive, and we all understand that. Working from home has made that much clearer to us, but they are in competition with, in some cases, vendors for whom we did have a competitive procurement. And so it's not appropriate to therefore not honor the procurements that were done in compliance with the Illinois Procurement Code. It does appear to be some inappropriate usage if we are not honoring the vendors that were in fact awarded under a competitive procurement.
Okay, there's one comment and two other questions. Just that often found items needed are not available on Office Depot, Office Max sites, but are easily found at competitive prices on Amazon. And then some questions regarding how to use iBuy to ship products, supplies to an employee's home if they don't use Amazon.
You can, in fact, contact us. You can send an email to the UIC purchasing at uillinois.edu email address and request that you have temporary ship to changed to your home address. Because your last ship to is in iBuy, your default ship to, we are in fact tracking anybody who sets up their home address so that at the time that you return to, at the time that we return to the office, we can make those changes in iBuy to a standard office ship to address. But you can certainly send that request to UIC purchasing at uillinois.edu. Okay. And some of you have already reached out directly to Marge Stanko, which is also a way to change your ship to address to home. But we are tracking those so that we can make sure that we can undo that when we are no longer working from home.
Okay, Deborah, just to clarify, should they stop using Amazon Business until further notice?
We are not at this time shutting down the Amazon for Business account. But please be mindful of the comments that I made, and just be mindful of what the purchases are that are being made through that Amazon for Business account. Okay.
Deborah, could you add especially the ones that are made with the minority and women-owned firms, please?
Yes. Oh, Charlotte raises a very good point. One of the things that we are really concerned about with Amazon is not only did it not go through a competitive process, the fact that it's that our usage at these levels and over $100,000 without having gone through a competitive process. Does it look like we're stringing with a single vendor who has not, in fact, agreed to the state of Illinois certifications, provided financial disclosures, just on and on and on and on, that has been brought to our attention. So this is we're on a path fraught with peril. But the other thing is that Amazon does not identify diverse vendors or BEP certified vendors, and we have a commitment as a state university to, in fact, use our diverse and particularly our BEP certified vendors. So what we want to do is to really encourage you to use the iBuy vendors, particularly that have the D or the DS notation on them, and to be mindful of the fact that the university does need to be able to demonstrate spend with our diverse vendors.
Deborah, 2 other questions. Can you please clarify if purchasing office furniture for a home office is not allowed at all or just not allowed from Amazon?
It's not allowed unless, first of all, unless you've got approval from your manager. So that should be going to iBuy so that it does route for approvals. But furniture for home offices are only appropriate if it's temporarily being used at home, and the plan is to bring it back to your work location. So if you are now, because you've been working from home, are now outfitting your home office, that should be a personal expense, not an Amazon for Business university expense. That is not appropriate.
Okay, would a request for temporary ship to address have to be submitted for each faculty member or staff member that they're shipping to?
If that's how you're doing this, if you are in fact setting up shipments to individuals, yes, Tomoko, I really appreciate that comment. If in fact people are using, let me finish the answer to the prior question. If there are shipments being made to individual homes, then that's the only way that you can, in fact, effectuate that, is to have the ship to changed in iBuy for those individual deliveries. So if there is something that is able to be effectuated with Amazon that is, because it's operating in most cases outside of iBuy, then we're not aware of that. But if you're going through iBuy, then that is the way to get a ship to changed. And Tomoko pointed out very appropriately that even if you have purchased equipment for use at home, your home office, while we're under work from home orders, then you should in fact be completing an equipment loan agreement and submitting that to your department business manager.
Great, and then just a request but there could be more diverse vendors added to iBuy and Punch Out catalog so they can be used instead of Amazon.
Yes, that's what we're working for. Charla should be the person who should comment on that, but we agree.
What was the question?
Not so much a question as a comment or a request to have more diverse vendors added to iBuy and Punch Out catalog so they can be used instead of Amazon.
Oh, we're working on that, and we'll keep you posted. Right now, our next, when he comes up, we have Volunteer Supply Service. They do have a hosted catalog, but we're working on that, and I'll take your recommendations to the purchasing forum, the purchasing managers meeting.
Great, thank you. And then it looks like, Deborah, there's one last question, and then we'll answer the rest online. But if faculty claim to work from home all the time, is purchasing furniture for their home appropriate outside of the current pandemic situation?
I'm in fact, I liked what Jason said. That still is subject to the equipment loan process. And that is not up to me to determine. That is up to their management to determine if it's appropriate to be charged to the university and then documented on an equipment loan form.
Okay, and Jason added that link to the chat as well. Thank you,
Thank you
Deborah.
so much, Jason. Okay, OBDS renamed to Contract Services Office UIC is moving to the UIC Purchasing and Contract Management Department. So we previously advised of this change that was to have occurred on March 16th. The updated go live date for that change is July 1st of 2021. And that's because CSO, Contract Services Office, is being aligned and transitioned for all of the universities, not just UIC. And so we have a single date in which that's going to occur. But as a reminder, any contracts for athletics, for events or venue rentals, and any revenue generating agreements, which include expenditure components, should be sent to UIC purchasing. All right, now that should have started happening as of October 16th of 2020. And please send those contracts with a CARF as an internal attachment to an iBuy requisition. We have gotten, just as an aside, we have gotten a lot of attention by the new Chief Procurement Officer for Higher Education for our treatment of revenue generating contracts that have expenditure components and whether or not they have been properly handled under the procurement code. So if you are in fact working on a rev gen agreement that has an expenditure component, and it's not whether it has a commission or outright payment to that customer, it's if it has any expenditure component for the university's liability, then it should be coming to UIC purchasing. Okay. If no questions.
No questions.
Okay, then let's transition to the source to pay presentation. And I don't know, Dana, if you're bringing that up or.
Bernadette is going to bring that up in a sec.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you, Bernadette. I have responsibility for the first two slides here under the source to pay update. And then we're going to transition to Jim Martini, the Senior Director for University Payables. So iBuy optimization update. E-procurement or iBuy optimization, we did implement 4 new forms in iBuy, the purchase requisition form and the standing order form. Those went live on December 21st. And then the change request form and the solicitation information form went live January 25th. And the job aids for these forms are available at the link shown here. iBuy optimization activities with the introduction of the new forms and the processes that align to those forms ended on February 5th. Now, if you are in fact using any of the old iBuy forms, you should be getting a auto return message, an auto-generated message that says that that says that you have in fact used an old form, please use the new form. It is not appropriate to use the change request form to move to the new form from the old form. You can simply cancel the old form and restart your requisition with the new forms. Freight and shipping. We recognize it's different for UIC because it used to be that you did not necessarily have to identify freight and shipping in iBuy, and payables would pay it if it was reasonable. And I know that a number of you have reached out and have brought that to my attention, and we are aware of that. But freight and shipping was not able to be transferred in a meaningful way over to Banner. Banner, if you initiated a requisition in Banner, then you could either identify freight and shipping as such, or you could use one of the FOB codes. That is something that we hope in some later optimization efforts, once the interface between iBuy and Banner moves to a new application called Ethos, that some of that will be addressed. But in the interim, what we are trying to do is to not only encourage the use of iBuy across the University of Illinois system, but also to make how we treat freight and shipping common across the entity. So what we agreed to do was to have a line item. If you in fact anticipate that freight and shipping may be included by the vendor and separately and is not included in the price of the item. So we are asking that you add a line item to the requisition, which will in fact transfer over to the purchase order. And if the freight and shipping line item is different on the invoice than what was on your purchase order, payables will in fact send an email asking for department approval to pay. No change request is needed to purchasing. But there must be a freight and shipping line if freight and shipping is anticipated on the invoice. If you are doing shop at the top and you are punching out from iBuy to various sites, one of the great features of iBuy is that you can punch out to various websites and secure quotes, and you're not limited to the catalogs that are on the iBuy showcase. If you do punch out to a vendor's website, please get the shipping cost if they are additional to the price of the item, and include that as a freight shipping line item in your requisition. If freight and shipping charges are included in an invoice that were not included in the purchase order, then payables will not only send an email to the department asking for approval to pay, but then a change request will be required. And hopefully that is clear. Based on the number of change requests that we've gotten since the new change request form went live, they have only 2 of them, I think, in UIC have not been to add freight and shipping. So again, we recognize it's different. We recognize it's a change, but we are asking for you to be mindful of this. And just like when we changed to iBuy in 2014, we now have a new way of handling freight and shipping at UIC to be consistent with the rest of the university. We want to encourage the use of iBuy. We want it to be pervasive. We love iBuy. So we ask you to be mindful of the freight and shipping. I have a feeling that there are all kinds of questions.
Deborah, there's just one question, and it's from the earlier slide regarding the contract servicing office, I believe, but it's if a revenue generating agreement that has expenditures has already been executed, does anything need to be submitted to purchasing?
Only if there is a change, if there is an amendment, which is how the chief procurement officer became aware that the university has been processing contracts that may or may not fully comply with the procurement code. So only if there is an amendment and an extension or a renewal. But at this time, those contracts, they will just come over as part of the alignment of the department. But
Thank you.
anything new, oh, please, anything new, please initiate with us. Okay,
Okay. No further questions at this point.
okay, cool. I wanted to give a Contracts Plus update. This was really going to be Aaron's slide because he's on the core team for Contracts Plus. The one word is they continue. So the core team now has a better understanding of the system capabilities of the Contracts Plus application and alignment with university processes. And so we are now engaged in revisiting some prior configuration decisions, not only as we've gotten a better understanding of Contracts Plus, but also to address the Contract Services Office organizational changes to put them all under purchasing throughout the university. So we still have plans to engage customer advisory groups, and particularly for your feedback. And once we get into testing configurations and prior to full implementation and deployment of the Contracts Plus system. So stay tuned, more to come. And with that, if there are no questions, I surrender the mic to Jim Martini.
One last question.
Okay.
Do we need to request changes to standing orders that were established at the beginning of the fiscal year before a shipping line was required?
Susie, are you still on?
I am. And
Okay,
the answer
I'd appreciate
is,
if you'd address this one. Thank you.
absolutely, I'm happy to.
Thank you.
If a standing order was issued before the date in the announcement, I'm sorry, it had just escaped my brain. I want to say it's December 21st. Any standing order issued before that date, like the ones that were issued at the end of the last fiscal year going into this one, do not need to have a line for freight. We're not going to hold anyone to current procedure when a PO was issued under the past procedure. Hopefully that helps.
Thank you.
And so all I wanted to add is, so you should not have to either submit a change order for us to add a line. But if in fact you have had a invoice put on hold and received an email from University Payables, please respond and give them approval to pay. But please, certainly point out that this was a standing order that was established prior to the 12/21 go live date of the new forms. Okay, and I know that that's happened because you've sent me emails to that effect. Okay, thank you for the time, Jim.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure I need any introduction, but I'm the Senior Director of University Payables, and I want to thank each and every one of you for your time today. It's fun to sit here even at the end of a internet tube and do something different than what I do all the time, answering emails. The Source to Pay program is formally a part of the travel reimbursement project is formally a part of Source to Pay. This slide that you're seeing here is visually correct. It's a piece of the puzzle. It's literally one of the things we're going to try to get better with. We have determined a provider of new software. And let me emphasize that the presentation today is almost completely about the software platform and not about, there's a parallel process that's going on that we are involved in where we are evaluating policies, regulations, and practices. We know there's been a lot of frustration with TEM over the years. It's hard to believe it's been almost 10 years. But some of those things that the frustrations have been about policies and regulations and practices, maybe not so much about the software platform. So today's presentation is focused on the platform. But we've identified a product with your input, with user input. We'll get to that slide in a minute. from a company called Chrome River, and we are replacing the current TEM product. We've established a project core team. We've got a steering team established that has some representation from each of the universities. I think one of the individuals was on the roster here today that is going to help us with some steering activities. We are forming work groups. We are forming customer advisory groups. We are getting things started. The project actually formally kicked off in February, but we are currently in a fact-finding stage. The company, Chrome River, has presented us a model where we will do several iterations. I'll get you more on that in a few minutes in another slide. But we do anticipate, one of the things I think we underestimated in the previous implementation of TEM was the impact on the academic side of the house. This may have been, TEM may have been the first university platform that was touched by some academic folks. And I think it's important to emphasize today that we're going to count on you, business managers and AFOs, to help us communicate both ways, bring forward the concerns of academics, but help us as deployers of the new product explain the thinking, the reasons why some things are the way they are. We have not yet gotten there. It's a complicated effort. We're not sure if we're going to be able to bring the new product alive in a big bang environment where everybody does it on all 3 universities, or if we can phase it in groups. So those are still under development. And let's see, who is it that's handling my slides? Let's go to the next one. What the reasons are for replacing TEM? We're going to try to make it more intuitive. The one thing that we've come to realize is that if you don't use TEM today, very often, you often forget how to use it, and it's not real intuitive. So we want to make it effective and efficient, where you remember or it's easy to do. We want to develop a streamlined solution and a better experience for users who not only create transactions, but those that review them and those that approve them. We think we can do better. We want to introduce some new functionality and better security. It looks like we will be able to eliminate the VPN requirement with this new product, because the internet vulnerabilities that are present in TEM are not present, best we can tell, in the Chrome River product. We also have mobile functionality where users optionally can construct expense reports, review expense reports, or approve expense reports using a smartphone or a tablet, in addition to a terminal, in addition to a PC. And there's an OCR functionality, optical character recognition, with this product, where when you provide your hotel portfolio as one example, the product attempts to populate your expense report. In other words, picking up the words off of the hotel receipt and putting them in your expense report for you. And one of the quotes we received from the provider was they want to do more clicks than strokes. So fewer keystrokes and more clicks. Now you have to look at it, but we think that makes it easier. There are better business rules than we have today. We think we can speed some processes along. We can do things in a more automated way. So we're excited about that. And we want to eventually reduce transaction cycle time. So start to finish, from the construction of an expense report to the approval and payment, we want to get faster. So Bernadette, please.
Jim, before you go on, has there been discussion about whether the new TEM will be ADA compliant?
Yes, there has. And we have had numerous people visit. There is a whole accessibility team in AITS that has examined some of the products or some of the screens and presentations of the Chrome River product, and they feel that it is better. We have offered some suggestions to the product, and the provider has agreed to consider and implement those suggestions as they can. So we're in a much better position than we are today from a accessibility standpoint.
Thank you.
Probably not perfect, but better. So the customer advisory group, this is how we got to the solution of Chrome River. We had a customer advisory group, system offices, universities and system offices participated. I saw some familiar names. In fact, I saw a chat from one of the people that helped us with this. Faculty and staff participated in a variety of demos. So we're trying to get more input than we did with TEM. So we worked together to choose what we think is the best one out there. And one of the benefits, we believe, is that the Chrome River provider is a Lucian partner, and actually they have a very tight relationship with the Lucian and work through, I believe it was Deborah that mentioned the Ethos interface technology. Chrome River uses that today, which is the, I guess I would say, chosen or the integration methodology of choice from a Lucian, who is the producer of Banner. So we think that'll lead to better efficiencies along the road in the future. So next slide, and I'll come back to the point about training aids here in just a minute. We've got a little bit of touch on that here in subsequent slides. So I mentioned already the automated image to text functionality. There's automated approval routing, mobile access I mentioned, better integration with the current plus credit card integration. So there's a good possibility that we can eliminate. One of the objectives of source to pay was to eliminate or minimize as many of the duplicate systems that we have. And we believe we can eliminate the P-card web solution, process P-card transactions pretty much in the same platform as your expense reports. That would give P-card transactions the ability to attach notes, to attach images, to attach receipts, and have a variable configurable workflow, which is better than the P-card system is rather old, 20 some years. So it's time to do something different with that. They do offer, and this is one of the points I want to make, they offer a wizard. Chrome River offers a training wizard, which actually helps you construct an expense report if you are doing it for the first time or haven't done it in a long time. So that's one training component. There will also be some workshops available. They have some online today. If you go out to the Chrome River website, they will not be in the university language. We won't talk about the Chicago University or the Urbana University or FOPLs, but you can get a sense. And we are anticipating Chrome River helping us with a train the trainer sort of model. So there will be training aids available for using the new system. There will be training sessions. The last point on this slide is that the product offers online dashboards. So when someone logs in, kind of like we do today with TEM, but you'll be able to see your work and see the status of your work. If you're an approver, it'll present the things you need to approve. If you're a traveler and have done an expense report, it'll tell you what the status of that expense report. And it won't give you the little cryptic BK robot kind of description that we've all learned to understand, but it'll tell you exactly, literally where it's at. Next slide,
Jim, I hate to
please.
do this to you, but we're down to 2 minutes so that we can give our last presenter his full
Got it.
10 minutes.
Yep,
Thanks.
I got it. So who is involved and why? We're in this stage of planning. We're going through the discovery stage right now. We're attempting to finalize the project plan. We do have a lot of work to do with the data feeds and the user interface configuration, what things are presented when. So the next slide. We want to verify the function. We have to validate it. But what I want to point out that the company offers multiple iterations. In other words, we'll construct something, we'll present it to you, present it to a subset of users. If they critique it, come back with criticisms, suggestions, things that need to be changed, we go back and change things. So there's 3 iterations already built into the project plan. Here's the training chevron that yes, there will be training. It will be a trainer approach, but there is some end user training sessions already. And then deployment. We haven't gotten there yet. We don't know exactly when or how that will go. We've got to do some planning. It's a big impact. We understand that. But the one thing I want to make sure that payables is going to be there for post-production support. And on the next slide, here's an estimate. We're just starting. We're 8-10 months in configuration testing and the sprints that I referred to, the iterations. And we expect to have some plans and a 2 to 3 month rollout deployment. And I want to make sure that what I'm saying today is understood to be estimated because we've got a lot of discovery yet to do. And the point I want to make is we're committed to continuous improvement during and after implementation. That's where we fell down a little bit with TEM. We didn't make it better. So I've used up my time. We'll be back in touch. We'll be presenting more. We'll give you more information as we go along.
Thanks, Jim. I'm going to turn it over now to Shauna Claiborne, who will introduce our guest supplier for today.
Thank you, Gloria. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shauna Claiborne. Most of you know our department by now. We are responsible for overseeing the supply diversity program for the system. So today I'm happy to introduce to you President of Volunteer Supply Industries, Rod Young. Mr. Young is no stranger to the university. He brings today some exciting news about a new IPAC award that you can utilize to help meet your diversity goals. So I'll turn it over to you, Rod. You may be on mute.
Is he on mute? Or do we have, it's Rod Young, if we can unmute him?
Oh, I apologize. I was on mute. Sorry.
There you go.
Thank you. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. I was just saying, thank you, Shauna, in the Office of Procurement Diversity for giving me the opportunity to present today. And thank you to the UIC business managers for allowing me to present and you guys get an opportunity to hear about what we can do. I saw it's 55 degrees outside, and so I don't want to stand in front of you guys enjoying the last couple of hours of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and get started.
Next slide.
Again, I'm Rod Young, and I'm the owner of VSI, and we are the IPAC awardee for the photographic equipment, supplies, and services contract. And as an approved vendor and a certified BEP firm, this partnership allows VSI to serve as your one-stop shop for all your photo, video, and pro audio needs at the ENI pre-negotiated discounted pricing. In addition to getting the products and the services that you need at the price that you guys want, you also get to help the university achieve its BEP goals with every dollar you spend with us. So now that you're ready to buy, how do you find us? We're on the iBuy. We have an e-punch-out catalog, and under that catalog, we are located under Creative Technologies. And to avoid putting us in a box, we came up with this new category because we include all the standard AV equipment, but there's so much more. There's drones, there's mobile technology, there's security cameras. And so basically, if it has a plug or it needs a battery, please find us on iBuy and click on this sticker and put us to work. And so by putting us to work, here's what you get. You get a local company with a dedicated customer service team that's ready to walk you through the pre and post sales process. We're here for you. So using an iBuy system, if you send a purchase order through that system, it comes directly to us and also to B&H. We will confirm receipt of the purchase order, make sure it's processed, make sure it ships, and then as soon as it ships, we'll provide tracking for you guys. Also, we can project manage any project you guys have from start to finish to ensure that these projects come in on time and on budget. So if you're renovating a classroom, an office area, a theater, we can provide recommendations, we can specify the material, and also do the installation. So we'll give you a complete turnkey solution, and that's part of the contract under the services portion. Technical support, we've got a team of engineers and technical experts waiting to help out. I know that there's an IT department, and in our experience, 9 out of 10 times, you guys, they know what they want. The end users know what they need for their applications, but there's a situation where you need our help. We're there to help you. There's a situation with Southern Illinois. They were redoing their entire video room for their athletic department, and they had a complete bill of material. But once we saw it and was going to provide a quotation for it, we noticed that some of the parts weren't compatible with other parts. So we spent some time on the phone with our engineering department and with their department, and we were able to work out a solution that allowed them to get a complete bill of material and to finish the project on time. So with our partnership with B&H, you guys can expect to continue the same level of quality and service that you've experienced in the past, with over 7,000 products from 7,000 different manufacturers with 1 million square feet of warehousing space. And if your item's in stock, it's going to ship the same day. And there's no such thing as an order too small. We specialize in the small order. Our average order size is under $1,000. And our standard shipping is 2 days with the freight included. This kind of gives you a visual of what our warehouse space looks like. Again, we're shipping 30,000 orders daily. You place an order and it's in by 2 o'clock Eastern time. It may ship that same day, if not the next day, and then you can have your items in the next couple of days. And so just briefly, I wanted to kind of give you guys a virtual sampling of some of our core products. Again, the AV, the computers, all the items that we have that are available. And this is a snapshot, a thumbnail shot of a brochure that I could email or have Shauna send out to everyone on this call so that you could look through it and take a look and get an idea of what we have available to offer to you. Again, photography is what we're known for, our core business, but also the pro audio that allows, if you got a broadcasting communications department, arts department, they may be interested in a lot of these products or equipment. And then lastly, surveillance equipment for housing, police or public safety, wireless, wired cameras are all available. And we can actually help put these systems together, or we can integrate them with your current technology. Again, we're going to be brief. We just wanted to give you guys an overview of who we are and what we do. Again, I'm Rod Young, the president. My information's here. At the bottom of the screen here, you can request a quote or submit an order, and that goes to a dedicated person. And we're turning around quotes typically the same day, and then making sure that the pricing is in line with the ENI discounted pricing, and then also that orders are processed and shipped in a timely fashion. Are there any questions?
There are no questions.
Mr. Young, thank you so much for that whirlwind tour of your offerings. It's a nice.
You said I had 2
teaser.
minutes.
We're all.
You know what, Gloria, this is Charlotte. I just may want to add for all the business managers on the call, if Rod hasn't stressed it enough, if Deborah hasn't stressed it enough, someone asked that we should get more minority and women-owned firms on the iBuy punch-out catalog. VSI, Volunteer Supply Industry, is a minority-owned firm, and every dollar that's spent with them will help the University of Illinois meet their diversity and minority and women-owned diversity goal that's established by the state of Illinois. So this is one of our initiatives that we're doing in collaboration with all the purchasing leaders. Deborah, thank you so much for always being a strong advocate. So every dollar you spend with VSI is a dollar to help the University of Illinois reach another important objective to ensure that we are doing business with minority and women-owned vendors. So if you haven't been using them, they showed us a snapshot of the 1,000 supplies that they have and services that they could provide. So please reach out to Rod. He provided his contact information, and reach out to my A player, Shauna, who could help you provide you any information on his firm.
Gloria, we do have 2 questions. Do we have time to have Rod
Sure.
answer them?
Go ahead, absolutely.
Okay, Rod, do you come to the departments to help design a classroom with AV equipment for conferencing?
Absolutely. Obviously, in this corporate world, we haven't been able to get out on campus in person. But if it's something that you're comfortable with having somebody on site, I'd absolutely love to come out. Something that we can do virtually, we can look at it that way. But yes, that is definitely a service that we offer.
Great. And also, do you provide video production services for meetings or events?
Are they looking for?
That's a great question. I think he'll check on that and get back to me.
Let me check on that and get back, and so I can make sure that that's something that we offer and carry. But yes, if can someone email me that information of who I can contact, and I can get back to them?
Yes, I will do that. And is VSI a partner with B&H Photo?
Yes.
They're
Okay.
the local minority distributor.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us today, and it was a very interesting presentation. It was a teaser for me. I'm interested in going out and checking out your catalog now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you all for joining today. I want to remind you that we are approaching our 1-year anniversary of our work from home environment, and want to thank you all for your resilience and dedication as we have worked through this difficult time. I look forward to seeing you next month, and if you can enjoy a little bit of the weather today, please do so. Talk to you soon. Bye now.